What if I told you the biggest opportunity for women leaders to achieve their next level of leadership and close the gender gap in executive positions isn't about working harder or networking more? It's actually about mastering a specific set of skills that most leaders, regardless of gender, are struggling with right now. Stay tuned because I'm about to reveal how and why AI leadership skills could be the career accelerator that you're looking for. Hi, I'm Dr. Jennifer Churchill, an executive coach and performance psychologist. I specialize in helping women leaders thrive in midlife and beyond. And today we're exploring how AI is reshaping leadership forever and why this moment presents a once in a generation opportunity for women to close the leadership gap. I mean, right now I'm recording this during an unprecedented time where in every single one of my conversations with all of my executives, my friends, and my family is centered around AI. Our government just announced a huge investment in Stargate, and also we are in more conversations with global challengers in the space. And so one of the reasons I feel like it's one of the most undeveloped skills for leaders to really dial in on is because it is going to be the new internet. It is the new way we work, and it is a skill set that actually leaders must know. As an executive coach who's worked with leaders across Fortune 500 companies, I've noticed a clear pattern emerging. Those who have mastered the AI skills aren't just surviving, they are thriving. According to the recent World Economic Forum report, AI will impact 77% of all entry-level roles and 25% of senior executive positions this year in 2025 alone. Unfortunately, as of today, women still only hold 12% of the C-suite and board level roles. Companies that prioritize women in AI leadership roles report a 19% higher revenue growth. That is sourced by McKinsey and Company in 2023. So this is where the opportunity really lies. And it's not just about technology. It's about strategy. It's about adaptability and emotional intelligence. Skills that, many women actually already excel in. So later in this episode, I will share with you what I call my AI dream team that I use in my own business and that I use to coach my clients to use in their roles for a variety of high performance outcomes, not only in the boardroom, but in every single room of their life. So what's interesting is in the last 2 weeks, I've had quite a few conversations. In every single executive coaching session I have had, AI has been in the dialogue. And all of the executives I coach, they're all in midlife, mid-career, but especially the conversations I'm having with women around AI, they're feeling a little bit more intimidated, a little worried about developing this skill set. And I am here to remind you, as a woman leader in midlife, you actually possess like superpowers to master the AI skill sets that actually have nothing to do with technology. So I'm going to go over those today, give you a couple examples of how to implement things right away. So the strategic advantage actually that women leaders have is pattern recognition mastery. It's your first hidden advantage. And here's why it matters and why it's crucial for AI. So AI systems identify patterns in data. So that's like a common, like if you can hold on to one thing, all AI systems really pay attention to the patterns in the data. And their success really depends on choosing the right patterns to analyze. So therefore, experience helps identify meaningful versus meaningless patterns. So as an example, one of my AI Dream Team tools is Perplexity, and I use it to research every single topic that I'm going to present on or develop a worksheet or a workbook for a client, when I'm getting ready for a presentation, getting ready for this YouTube recording. I actually leverage Perplexity first because as a scientist by trade and nature and a psychologist who looks at patterns and behavior, I love to see what is the most recent research and data on what I will be coaching on or whatever delivery system I'm going to be using. But what Perplexity does then is it maps basically based on my return research. It amplifies things that I research more often in that tool. And I'll go into more of those tools that I use a little bit later. But that's just an example of how AI really identifies like my pattern behavior to best help me and support me with more consistent, reliable, fast research. And as I'm also in midlife, as you know, my audience might be as well, you know, we have like the midlife advantage. We have 20 plus years of seeing businesses in cycles and understanding of human behaviors over a period of time. So we're able to really distinguish between like trends from fads that just are not here to stay. And what I mean by that when in a leadership context is oftentimes there'll be, let's say, you know, any kind of change management that comes through an organization. It needs to actually develop a sense of what pattern behaviors are going to allow it to remain intact and actually gain traction and implement for a mid-level type of role and professional. So they need to assess not only that new framework from a hiring perspective, that it assesses the right candidates in the right way, but also that it actually is not only attracting the right candidates, but then you're actually seeing in the success or the lack of success of those candidates that actually over time produce performance for the organization. We can only know if that hiring framework is actually better or not actually improved from the previous system if we measure pattern behaviors over time. And so we can input data into different AI technology to map this over time and give us faster, more efficient types of data to analyze. We have 20 years of data collection just in our minds through crystallized intelligence. We are actually at such an advantage of being able to leverage our critical thinking and our strategic thinking skills as we input data or patterns of behavior or input into any AI type of system to best prove that it is high performing results for our team and our organization. The next thing that is absolutely an advantage for anyone in midlife, but really specifically around women in midlife, is what I call the experience integration framework. So here's how to leverage your experience with AI leadership. It's one of the pieces of the experience integration framework is what I call the WISE method. And that is an acronym that stands for wisdom from past experiences, insights from multiple roles, strategic pattern matching, evaluation through experience. All right. So we can, leverage this method to really understand our experience. And then what you'll do is you'll use a real world application, week to week. This is something I coach in my one-on-one work with all of my executives, but I specifically implement and amplify it in my group coaching programs just for women in midlife. And it really helps them understand how they can leverage AI more efficiently in their roles, whether they're a business owner or a C-level executive in a Fortune 100 company. So the skill sets are the same. So as an example, here's what a real world application might look like. So on Monday, we do some pattern scanning, and I will have who I'm coaching document this in wherever they find that it's most helpful to document it. Some people use one notebook system in a paper version. I still have all my paper and leverage it all the time, but I also use specific reminders and my notes app on my phone so that I can capture data that I can implement into things later. So I do pattern scanning. I help my clients scan their environment for different patterns so that they can understand which AI tool would be helpful for me to implement into the workplace. So what I plan to do is come back and walk through this application with a real example. So then on Tuesday, they will then experience map. They will then work through their day and kind of map out their different types of experiences that they're having that in an environment that they want to assess that is ready for an AI implementation. On Wednesday, I will have them think about which AI tool, what kind of tool do you think that would be helpful for them to get alignment around the pattern scanning and then experience mapping. Thursday would be how do they implement the planning? And then Friday, they would refine. So it is an example of an application. So let me give you something that all of my executives constantly talk to me about, and that is effective meetings. So in terms of how to assess which AI tool would be helpful to amplify the effectiveness of their meetings, we first do an understanding and a pattern scanning of their meetings throughout the whole week. So they will on Monday jot down the meetings that they have for the entire week, and they will look at specific patterns that come up in those meetings that actually accelerate action or actually distract from execution. And then on Tuesday, they will then proceed with being in the experience of those types of meetings and pay attention to what is the experience like in that type of setting, the people, the context, the type of conversations, what's happening in those settings that they can then filter through a potential AI tool. And then on Wednesday, they will think, okay, what kind of AI tool, what kind of research can I do that I can implement? And Perplexity is a great tool to use for a lot of this in terms of getting an understanding of how to increase effectiveness of the meetings. It could be as simple as scheduling the meetings in a different way through an AI tool, through an AI calendar tool. I use a tool called Group Call Hero, and it actually helps me schedule a lot of my calls with my group programs, leveraging an AI integration of my Google Calendar with my clients and my potential coaching clients' calendars as well. And then on Thursday, they will kind of think through how would they implement an AI process into their working environment. And then Friday, they would kind of think about how they would refine it. So there's a lot of other ways that, we can look at the experience and how to integrate an AI framework into an organization. Let's dive into actually what I believe is one of the more important skill sets that leaders can actually improve to have a increased understanding and then potential integration of AI into their leadership role, into their teams, into their office, into their workplace, but then also outside of work. How can they use AI to better their workout schedule, their meal planning, lots of different things that I personally leverage AI for, but also coach my clients on how to use it. And some key things for the human leadership edge that are required that can only come with experience. Emotional intelligence mastery is one of the skills that you can only gain through experience. And this is where your life experience becomes your of many skills I use in all of my coaching programs. The overarching development framework that I use, regardless of AI, but any type of coaching I do with my executive clients, is what I call to help them develop their executive intelligence. And that includes emotional intelligence. That includes strategic and critical thinking, which we've already covered a little bit. It also includes collaboration and communication skills. It also includes insight. And insight is a combination of self and other awareness. More specifically, for those who know what self-awareness really means, it is the intersection of interpersonal intelligence and intrapersonal intelligence. So I'll come back to that in a little bit, but emotional intelligence mastery is one of those things that we're always striving to improve in all of our relationships. And I use a framework in all of my conversations with my clients that I call the life framework, especially for midlife executives. So lived experiences inform our decisions. This is what we also formally call crystallized intelligence. You can only gain that with years of experience. Intuitive understanding. I is for intuitive understanding of people. That comes with repeated experience and pattern recognition over time. F stands for flexible communication styles. So as we start off in our developmental years in grade school and junior high and high school, our communication styles are pretty rigid. We don't have a lot of experience to understand where we need to adapt and flex in our various communication styles. So as we grow, we need to understand who our audience is, who we're talking to, and also to be flexible based on our audience. Even in this YouTube channel, when I'm speaking to a particular type of audience and around a specific type of skill set, I might be slower in tone. I might be more emotional depending on the message I want to convey. And so that is something actually you can actually train your AI to understand about you. So being really flexible with your communication style can be really helpful. And then the last letter of the life framework is empathetic change management. And so let's talk about some real examples as it relates to this life framework, okay? Especially when it comes to AI and integrating AI into your workplace. So you want to think about how you might manage resistant team members. So really doing a team audit of where people sit on the AI integration, not only into their workflow, but how much have they adopted AI into their life? What is their understanding of AI? What is their fear or acceptance around AI? Really understanding where everyone on your team is on the AI adaptation. So, because what you can do in terms of helping resistant, usually it stems from fear. I mean, resistance really is this undercurrent of fear. Like, am I going to be replaced? Is it going to like identify where I may not be like confident in my role? Is it going to find more mistakes in my work? All of those things are real fears that your employees are worried about when it comes to AI integration into the workplace. What I am here to tell you is that there is no way that you can replace a empathetic human and a really good critical thinker completely with AI. So there's some really good conversations I've had with my clients on how to talk to their employees about this. So that's a huge thing in terms of where your life experience can actually be powerful. Navigating organizational politics, that is part of this transition, and you can get to that when you're talking with some of those resistant team members. One thing that I really recommend in my organizations that I work with is finding your AI champions. Like, who is really championing AI and really adopting it and accepting it into their vernacular already, but also into their toolkit and their skill sets in life, and partnering those individuals with each other so that they can learn from each other through this and not only through you. So you also want to build trust across departments. You want to understand the key things that you can say to your leaders in your organization that you're managing so that you come off credible when it comes to this technology. And then just really being sensitive through your empathetic change management of these sensitive transitions as well. AI is going to change things so fast, but we can actually really be gentle and slowly integrate people into using it, leveraging it, and accepting it as a tool, as a real advantage for their next level in their career. So the change management I've already talked about a little bit, but there's this method that I also use. It's called the ADAPT method. And so you can use these in these conversations when you're working with, some resistant team members around it. And you want to acknowledge their concerns, really leveraging your empathy and your emotional wisdom. And then develop support systems. Like I said, who are the AI champions that you can actually leverage, and create groups that can teach each other and adopt different ways of leveraging AI. Address the fears, like I said, applying your life experience. We went through this, what is the internet? Is this around to stay? And, I'm not using that. I'm not going to buy in. And look at where we are now. The same is going to happen with AI. So we do need to get on board. And as leaders, we need to help our team be successful through this integration and this adoption of AI as a coworker, really. And then just really clear direction. I mean, you need to really be leveraging your communication mastery as a leader to provide clear direction, how it's going to be used, what are the changes that might be made, and then track and adjust based on your intuitive understanding through your life experience. So the last thing I will say about you as the leader, as the midlife leader, you as the executive woman in midlife, thinking about, how do I adopt AI and how do I leverage it as an advantage for my next level? And I can hear the objections coming up for you. Like, I'm not technical enough. I'm good as the information that you put into them. So the question and the context and how you think about, here's what I will say about all of these tools though, before I get to ChatGPT as my third and final tool in my dream team, is they are only as good as the information that you put into them. So the question and the context and how you think about the problem that you want to solve needs to be as detailed as possible and have it really reflect your values, how you want to sound in the delivery of the output, and ultimately, how you want to have it be aligned with your personal leadership brand. And so my last tool of my AI dream team is ChatGPT. The reason why I love using ChatGPT at the end is for one really specific reason. Where Claude actually fails is Perplexity creates all of these references of all of the research that answers and gives themes about the topic I am researching. So, as an example, I am getting ready to do a leadership interview with a colleague of mine, and she focuses on nutrition for tall women. One of the success factors that Malcolm Gladwell actually identified in his book Blink is that executives on average are at least 5'9" feet and taller. So height has some kind of correlational value to success. I only share that because I'm obviously a leadership coach, and she focuses on nutrition for tall women. And I was wondering, is there an intersection between tall women and leadership success, just like that Malcolm Gladwell found for men in his book and his research he did in Blink? What's interesting is the research does indicate that there is a slight advantage for tall women in leadership roles. But my colleague, Denver, who is the tall girl nutritionist, she works with women who feel insecure about their height, have struggled with what it means to be in a tall and a larger body. And those two things, there's just like a really interesting confluence of these two topics. So I researched it in Perplexity, gave me tons of research. When I inputted it into Claude to create more of a framework around the conversation, the references disappeared. So then what I do when I get the really beautiful language from Claude, I implement back into ChatGPT and ask it to be more specific around please find the exact research references and link to them in the output. So I'm appropriately and ethically citing the research of where things came from. So that's an example of how I use my AI Dream Team in my work and how I also coach my clients and leaders on how to use it. And I mentioned that one of the things that your AI tools will pick up on is your voice, are your values, who you are as a person. They want to know you so that they can best help you. And one of the key things that you need to know to best leverage these tools is your personal leadership brand. And I'm going to be talking about your personal leadership brand, especially for women executives in midlife, in the next episode. So stay tuned for that. If you would like to have a conversation of where you need some support and help around this AI conversation in your workplace or how to leverage it in your life, please use the link below to schedule a time with me. I'm eager to support as many leaders as possible to onboard this leadership skill set, especially for women in midlife, as an accelerator to your next level in your role, to feel meaningful and impact moving forward at this time where, quite frankly, our bodies are deceiving us at this time in terms of how our memory is and how we're feeling in our bodies. So if we can amplify this tool as women leaders in midlife, this AI intelligence of our own, then we can break through our own self-doubts, our own inner glass ceiling, and reach the next level and have more opportunities. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please follow, subscribe, come back for more. I'm going to be bringing innovative topics and accelerators specifically for women in midlife navigating perimenopause moving forward. So I look forward to more time with you. And I just thank you for your time that you have given me already. And see you on the next episode.